What's up, everybody? I am live with another edition of the State of Bitcoin podcast. I've got a bonus episode this week coming to you with a very, very special guest. I got Jared, the founder of Mash at Get Mash on Twitter, so you guys can check them out. Jared, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, and thanks for everyone's time. If you're listening, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry about that. But great. Obviously, I introduced you a little bit at the beginning, founder of MASH and everything like that. But let's take it back a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found Bitcoin, and then your I guess start of MASH, like kind of your motivation and how you got the idea to kind of go forward and start building in the Bitcoin community.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great. I'll take you a run through my history of various experiences. I probably really got fascinated with technology and the internet when I was like 12 and 13 years old. Had like a 28.8 modem, maybe upgraded to a 33.6, and started like selling things online within a few years. And actually, that's sort of a touch point of Mash where I saw the challenges with accepting payments online. It was like I was getting 20% charges, like selling random things. And then if I go through, while I am technical, I have more of a business background or product lens. But actually, before I did that, I was a canoe trip guide. So I spent my summers, think of like instead of hiking, you're actually going by canoe to various lakes and rivers, fully self-sufficient. So that's sort of the half of me that's outdoor adventure, travel, real life experiences. I was at Google for about 7.5 years, majority of which on the product side. So working with teams of engineers and designers. And, I focused a bunch of my time on the display ad stack. So saw how Google was funding, in many ways, disinformation online, poor quality content experiences as I looked across the stack of where these ads were showing. Um, and then I led mobile efforts for Google Fiber, Android app, iOS app, a bunch of some of their, embedded software, which is a really good experience on seeing how content was, like large bundle content was being monetized. So sort of got a different flavor of that and consumer experiences. And so I had heard about Bitcoin actually a few times while I was there. And I remember, I might be misremembering and making myself sound like smarter in my reply now, but someone asked me about it. Maybe it was like 2012, 13. What do you think about this? And I think I was smart enough to say, I haven't looked into it. It could be really interesting, but I don't like, how is this really decentralized? Like, how is this going to be money? And I just moved on. Had another, touch point or two, but still never got into Bitcoin. I then left Google because I was in some ways disenfranchised with tech. It was like ad stuff or like aggregator things where you're taking all the value, and lots of those marketplaces have been built, or like little SaaS apps I just didn't think were, they might have been small benefits to organizations, but they weren't really large benefits for individuals. So I started an adventure travel company, like Real World. I drove a bus for a full 6 months, leading trips to test it out. Then I was scaling, and it was going great. In 2020, February, I'm looking at, should I buy these extra 4 buses? And I'm happy I didn't. And that's when I dug into lots of different things, doing lots of experiments, and finally discovered Bitcoin and Lightning. And once I saw Lightning, maybe it was like June, May 2020, sort of off to the races to figure out what I want to do with it. As part of like who I am, I do paddle rivers every year. I'm lucky to have a group of buddies, like really, best friends, that we paddle a random river in Canada for 12 days. And so I'm actually going on a trip fairly soon to northern Manitoba. So I'm really excited to hit the water and be fully off grid. So if you need to get me, find an emergency helicopter and figure out where I am. I will lose all my Bitcoin there. My signing devices will be destroyed. So Mash, basically, as I was putting together the plan to help people, help take advantage of the superpowers of what Lightning provides, right? It's programmable money, sendable anywhere around the world, that's trust minimized, highly granular. You can set it at low cost. There's multiple implementations of it so that you're not relying on one implementation in one company. So there's no choke point, and it's open sourced. And it's built off of sound money, which I look as the future money for the world. And so, it's really important to support Bitcoin, but also what Lightning enables is fundamentally new ways of facilitating payments. You can, we call it pay as you enjoy or streaming money. And so put together a plan, was experimenting in lots of different, some hackathons, trying at every product. And then basically ended up raising a round as a solo founder from Castle Island Ventures in March 2021. Had a team come together of like a founding team. Within 2 months, they all started, and we've sort of been building for a year and a bit, and now have been, launching in a few places, and really, really excited about the future.
That's awesome stuff. So, I guess bringing it back to the Google days, you don't have to go into it as much as, if you can't or whatever, if you sign an NDA or whatnot. But, when you were there, you said you kind of got it brought up a little bit, Bitcoin a little bit. Do you think by the time you left, it was more of a conversation, like people were, kind of waking up to it, or was it more so just kind of like offhand at the water cooler kind of thing, or was it more so like Google's actually trying to implement it, or figured this thing out before it gets too big and that they're too late?
For sure, I'm trying to remember what all of those legal documents said that that you have to sign all the time. So Google's a really, really large company, and there's tons of really, really smart people that are there. And, this was a water cooler conversation with a few different other product managers, et cetera. And there's actually a lot of people from Google that have left that are working in Bitcoin at prominent companies that people, probably everyone here listening knows. I don't want to name them in case my memory's, making a mistake. And so a lot definitely left and do work on Bitcoin. I don't know if I should confirm or deny talks about integrating there. This is like 2012, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, whatever. So it doesn't really matter now. But I did do some work on the strategy side for Google Wallet, which I actually didn't mention. And there wasn't really conversations of Bitcoin or other types of assets. We'll call them crypto assets or alternative assets. It wasn't even a discussion point at that point. It was sort of, how do you deal with the cost of onboarding people into a wallet? Like, the transaction fees were so high, and that was a big challenge that there was really no way to solve.
Yeah, and so obviously, you found Lightning, and that seemingly, solves a big portion of that problem. And so, tell me about, I guess, the creator economy and kind of how you see it going, and how you think Mash could potentially, ingrain in there and help creators monetize themselves, and not be privy to maybe some of these bigger companies like algorithms or other things like that.
Sure. So I'd like to, what is a creator? I want to start there. And it could be, we could say, Brandon, you're a creator, right? You have a podcast, et cetera. Or you could say someone who writes blog posts and articles or long form content, or has education material and courses, or writes a book, does art. Those are all creators. But then there's also people who build apps and tools, and they're also creators. They're building experiences that maybe exist in an underfunded way online. Actually, I'll get to some of the challenges in a second. So there's lots of types of creators, builders, and developers creating these awesome experiences. And historically, I look at it as there's been two-ish real ways to monetize. One is ads directly on your site using an ads platform generally controlled by Google, like through DoubleClick and third-party ads that display there. Or you could go into a platform with ads or micro distribution. So you go onto Spotify and they decide how much you're worth and how much you get, and you don't really have the power. Or a medium for written content, how many claps you get that no one even realizes drives payments. Same with views. I don't know the algorithm, but it's not direct, and you don't set your own prices in many ways. Or it's just ads, which you need millions of views, right? It sort of locks out lots of great experiences that aren't generalized content. And then the third option is, let's sell some stuff, whether it's you sell books or other experiences on top, or that's your core thing. And that's a really huge commitment barrier. It's a high upfront fee. It's a subscription. And while that makes sense, and that's great for lots of things, if you have a Substack with, 100,000 subscribers, like, I don't think Mash is as a core replacement is going to be necessarily the best fit. Like your freemium model works, you have that brand, but there's this missing middle of the internet where how do you break down the commitment barrier to start supporting someone? And so with Lightning, because it's highly granular, you can send less than a penny instantly anywhere around the world. You have, okay, let's start with a few different points. So let's say you want to tip someone in the middle of an article, right? You're like, this is great. I want to send them like a couple cents, or I want to access this premium piece of information. You're gonna pay $5 for that, type in your credit card to do it, or you're gonna like auto unlock it with Mash or another Lightning product. Or click a button to say thank you, slap it 5 times, and all of a sudden 50 cents just goes to that creator because they loved it, and then that creator knows, oh, that section they really liked. So you now have this highly granular system or usage for an app. Why do you have to subscribe $10 a month when I just want to use the like avatar generator once? Someone could build a laser avatar generator for Bitcoiners, make a couple $1,000,000 by charging like 10 cents for the high quality download of all these dope lasers. We were going to start building it. We just have too much to do. So if people want to partner with us on it, reach out. And so I just want to make sure I don't get off track, but really, yeah, what we're doing is with Lightning, you have streaming money, and it just opens up all these different ways. And I've talked about consumption-based. There's also interactive and community-based. There's so much more that I could just keep on talking about. And what we also know, the most important thing is people building on top of Mash, on top of Lightning, are going to unlock so many more things that, we could do so many like creative retreats and we would not come up with. So we want to enable as many people to build in the space as possible.
Gotcha. So do you see the creator economy, whether it's, apps, podcasting, blogs, things like that? Do you kind of see it going in the value for value route? I know that there's, Bitcoin app called Fountain and Breeze, a lot of these podcasting 2.0 apps that I'm on, and, people listen and are able to stream these sats while they're listening as well. And there's a bunch of other different mediums that, because of Lightning and because of Bitcoin that allows and unlocks for people. Do you see that kind of moving that way? Or do you think that, a lot of these bigger companies are still just going to be able to, shill out a lot of money? And so at the end of the day, that's going to be kind of the driver for content opposed to, maybe the value for value.
So I don't see it as like one or the other. I look at this value for value as additive and an extension of experiences online and maybe a shift of some. So it's like at Mash, we're not going to be like, oh, let's get all YouTube creators to move all of their YouTube content onto Mash and then do it that way. Like you have companies, Masterclass, that has done that for different niches and different verticals. So I still think they'll exist and they'll try and add different monetization options. But think of all the people that have wanted to create and share things that haven't been able to monetize because they don't get enough views. They haven't beat the algorithm on YouTube. They haven't, or they get censored and then they're going to go to another platform and censored when they can have their own site. So like that's a lot of the reason why Mash isn't like come to getmash.com and then go load up your stuff like and have your own page and that's it. It's no, we want to go to where you are so that you can kick us off and you own your experience and we can't kick you off. And so with that, because you have these new business models, a lot of these things that, people couldn't spend all their time on now get all the time, and the quality of the internet can go up because of value for value, and people can choose where they want to spend their time and trust quality content. So do you want to go to the AI built affiliate farm top 10x on that is just Amazon links, copying and pasting like the summaries and maybe scraping a review or two? Or do you want to go to the trusted source of, your Tom's Hardware or your Consumer Reports, and you have to pay a little bit now sometimes instead of having to do a full subscription because it's trusted quality, and now they have more time and money to cover more stuff and do better quality. So there's just like these parallel worlds and they'll both exist. Our goal is to enable a high quality experience to actually monetize properly with their own pricing in their control.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense, and that's a great way to look at it too, because I think at the end of the day, there's still going to be people that use YouTube, and limiting a creator's audience might not be the best solution in the end. And so I think there's definitely some parallels. Like I mentioned, my podcast on Podcasting 2.0, but I also have it on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those kind of things. and simply because, I think the wider the reach, right? You don't want to limit your audience. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of where like the creator economy is going. I personally prefer the value for value stuff, but maybe some person might not want to do that because they already pay for said service. So, and I think that a lot of these companies kind of have a moat as of right now, but people are looking for other options to get around it because, like you said, there is some censorship or some things that people see going on, or see some warnings or something like that. But when they open a podcast and they get frustrated with that, and they want to move off or whatever, and now you're kind of providing that solution. So when you're bringing this up to creators, or have you started pitching it to creators or anything like that just yet?
Yeah, so for we spent our first, let's say, 6 months as we were building it out and beforehand, doing lots of product discovery calls where we talk about different ideas, their problems, their solutions, and get a sense of which type of creator would need different things just to decide how we want to build things out. And now we've launched with a few sites. Like, we're early. There's no self-serve sign up just yet. It's us like walking people through it and building out specific things that we're generalizing for anyone to use. But we do have a few more things launching in the coming weeks, and we're working. That's really our goal now, is get people to try out the product's experiences, add more, and make them better, and just learn.
That's great. So yeah, when you're kind of pitching this idea, like do you what kind of, I guess, is like your target audience for creators? Are you more targeting Bitcoiners right now that kind of get it, or are you trying to get into, broaden the span and kind of not only get content creators onto Mash, but also kind of like orange pill them at the same time to kind of bring the worlds together?
So I'd say we're doing both. But let's start with, okay, there's a lot of Bitcoiners that create apps, create content, create tools. And so let's just categorize them as differently. I create like a mini tool or an app, like a way to trade options online. It tells you some cool ideas and gives you some graphs that you can share, or an information, there's that. Or there's someone who writes about, Bitcoin or sound money, or, yeah, we're having those conversations. They're still monetizing based on the content and the experience. They just don't have the hump to get over for them or their users for Bitcoin. So it's we don't have to do that step. But at the same time, this isn't meant to be a hardcore Bitcoin only product. We want to have anyone who creates amazing experiences be able to monetize them fairly and properly in their own way. So we're having conversations with people who know nothing about Bitcoin. And mostly they've been curious. And yeah, then it's a way for them to have a touch point. And we're not going to directly go and now just orange pill them in a new monetization option for them meeting, but it is a way for them to start their journey on that path. It's one of their touch points. And so we do help with that. So we have had people ask us, this Bitcoin thing seems interesting. Why is it different than X, Y, and Z? And can you help us? So it's very simply like, read the Bitcoin standard. Here's a bunch of articles. Here's a short video, and just get them on the path. We do the same thing for hiring as well, right? Some people that have joined our team weren't into Bitcoin first, but it's like, here's like 15 Lightning products. Here's like 3 documentaries to watch. Here's a book you have to read, and then let's talk. And surprisingly, it works really well to get the right folks to join who see it pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, once people kind of get in and they, figure out about Bitcoin and the power of Lightning, then they kind of get down the rabbit hole, and their whole perspective and everything like that has changed. So, on that note, how do you think that finding Bitcoin and like the Lightning Network has changed your mindset, when it comes to creators or things like that? I know, you kind of mentioned your experience at Google about, companies taking massive amounts of percentages and things like that, when it comes to pulling out and controlling your own money. And so, the problems that you had creating that Google Wallet and other things like that. Do you think that kind of helped you understand, Bitcoin, or do you think like, you just saw that Bitcoin solved this problem, and that's kind of how you went down the rabbit hole with Mash?
So I think there's still the challenge of, like, that challenge of how do you get people money into this like new wallet? Like that was the challenge, was like the banking fees, the interchange fees. And there still is that challenge with getting people into Lightning, because you have to go from fiat rails into Lightning rails. And so there still is that challenge, but that's more of like the business side challenge versus the consumer challenge. So like we don't, right now, if people get a Mash, like a wallet with Mash, when they're paying for experiences, that, they'll be able to activate it with Lightning and just send it in. There's 100 million users that have access to Lightning. Most people don't even realize that they do. So we'll give them instructions, but then there's buy a wallet with Mash. So you're buying the software to be able to use a Mash wallet, and then we give you a one-time Bitcoin amount of the exact same amount, but we eat the processing fees. We don't have to be like, and now we're charging you the 75 cents that's going to Visa, right? It's just more, we want you to get the exact value that we said with a public exchange rate and not playing, games. And so there still is that challenge, but really what happened is there's like, you see the minimum fee for a credit card. It's like, what is it, like 32 cents plus 3.5%, or I forget what the rates are again. They've gone up recently, so I'm probably saying them wrong. But you don't have that with Bitcoin and Lightning. You have like software fees, you have on-ramp fees, and then sending it, you might have routing fees, but those, depending on your like structures of nodes, you sort of are internal, and you don't have to have them unless you're sending across the network everywhere. So those are in many ways solved for some applications and some use cases. And you can send any amount. It's not like, oh, I send 1 cent, and now it's like, actually, that's negative 35 cents.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the more powerful things when it comes to Lightning and, obviously Bitcoin and things like that. And, for me, I've been trying to, orange pill and kind of onboard some local businesses to, just kind of show them like, hey, like, you guys are raising prices on, X, Y, and Z. I really like your restaurant or what have you, sandwich place, whatever. I think raising prices now is kind of tough, and but it's a necessity. And if you guys kind of convert this, convert to Lightning, you guys might be able to save on some of those fees. And I'll get a lot of the cashiers and things like that either look at me like I'm crazy, or a couple of them will get it. But unfortunately, I haven't successfully orange pilled any owners yet to kind of get it going. But good on you to kind of get that started and orange pill some people that are kind of understanding it. But let's get into Mash. So let's I want to bring up the first link that you have on your Twitter. And so if you are on Twitter, he's Jared NXX, I believe. Yeah, Jared NXX. And then your link that you have is the prophecybitcoin.com. So tell us a little bit about that and like your mission between the Bitcoin prophecy here.
Oh, sure. So some of that is my internal like humor. So if you don't find it funny, I apologize. And also, it was really right when we built out the platform, we had a bunch of like, I guess, constructs for how you could charge. It was, you could have different pricing tiers. So you could say like dog videos cost X, downloads of sim mods cost Y, cat videos cost whatever, right? Or some, and then you could say, oh, I want to give some free of each type. Or after spending a certain amount of money, the rest of the stuff here is free. Thank you so much for supporting me. And so we want to show the power of our system with Mash, but it's sort of a completely new way of monetizing things. It's like usage-based pricing, but immediate, on the go with Lightning. And so we thought, what better way to do that than create a joke app making fun of predicting the price of Bitcoin? So I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I don't believe like technical analysis. It's like, for me, it's like drawing lines or looking at the stars and guessing. Some people disagree. There could be like information there, but I don't think it's predictive. Or like, I was never a believer really in halvings as of like maybe a year ago or so, or 2 years ago. It just didn't make sense given the percent delta in supply. I just looked at demand and interest and education being the drivers of price. And so that app is, you basically click a button and you get a future price of Bitcoin, and you're paying sats with it after a few freebies. I think we have freebies on the site. On the pricing. So, and it will spit out a random number that I built the model for what the number was, in like a random quote. Like sometimes it could be like, Michael Saylor was right. It's thermodynamic energy, or like Plan B was wrong again. He's updating the model, and just like random jokes. So the goal there was to have people clicking over and over again to get new prophecies, just to see the jokes and just to show like sort of the power of usage-based pricing. And the other part is you could actually just create your own prophecy. So like we got a good graphic designer to help build it out, and I think it looks pretty awesome. And so you could say, okay, I want one Bitcoin to equal one Bitcoin. I want to have Hal Finney as my like character. I want to have like a chart with like the rainbow chart. I think it was Eric Wall has like the whole rainbow chart joke. So I thought that was hilarious. Or you can have like, and just sort of choose what you want to look like. You create it, you pay a little bit more based on how many things you lock in, and then you could share it if you thought it was funny. And so yeah, that's sort of what we did there.
That's awesome. And I think that what the funny thing about all this is, like, you have a bunch of different websites, but they all kind of link back to Mash and all that, and they all have their own separate mission, or at least it seems like that. And so the next one, I didn't really understand this one at first, but we kind of talked a little bit about it pre-show. But you're able to create an avatar JPEG NFT, allegedly on Lightning with mashingmonsters.com. So tell us the motivation between allowing people to create their own NFT, and kind of like your mission behind that.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely an air quotes NFT. This was similar as we want to, just show the Bash platform and what it could do and some flexibility. So you basically create your own Lightning Monster avatar. You can randomly generate one, or you can choose different items that you want to lock in, and you get a bunch of freebies. Then we called it an NFT, but there's like over 1 trillion combinations of choices. It's not, scarce at all. You can right click and save your JPEG and get your ID. Anyone can create the exact same one. It's not on any blockchain or Lightning. You're just paying like sats to buy an image effectively to generate them. And then we were gonna go a little bit further and have like labeling on some of the different items. So we have like Elon's joint is like one of the items you can choose. We have like Jack Dorsey's beard and like his tie-dye orange t-shirt, and like you can throw a block clock on there. And we just thought it was funny, and we got a local artist, High-End Lee, to do it. And a lot of it was like actually physically done. It was like using like real materials, and wanted to support a local artist to show them how they could, create something that was useful. And so, yeah, it was really just a showcase of Mash and something that we thought would be fun. And it wasn't too hard for us to create.
Yeah, exactly. Those dreaded JPEGs. So I think it's hilarious too that you guys, are doing that. But not only it's like showing like an artist's use case for, the potential of using Mash. And so then they both of these websites link to Mash in some way, shape, or form. And then you have the Mash Lightning wallet. So do you guys have your own like Lightning wallet where people can kind of once they receive sats, they don't need another wallet like a Moon wallet or something along those lines?
So the way I think about like different Lightning wallets is there's different use cases with different ones. So like maybe, your Bitcoin Beach wallet is to pay at Bitcoin Beach to local merchants to buy your coffee, your food, or share peer-to-peer. Or your Stacker News sort of has a wallet in there is to use on Stacker News for different things. And all of these interoperability is key because you want to be able to send money between them, or ideally hook them up where they're pulling invoices from all of them, and you don't have to manage your balances too aggressively. With Mash, what we've done is we've built a wallet that embeds right into a site. So you take the owner of that site takes a little bit of code, they drop it in. Now any Mash user has access to their Lightning money, like to their Bitcoin, to the Lightning wallet, right into that site to do whatever they want in a variety of ways. And so if you go between prophecybitcoin.com, mashingmonsters.com, or any site that has Mash, a Mash wallet, what you actually have is the same balance, the same funds. You don't have to now load up something new or create a new wallet or do anything. It just gives you access to your funds into a website. So we're trying to inject money into the web with no download, works on mobile and desktop. You don't have to like scan anything. And so that lets us do a lot of other things for an earner or creator that reduces a lot of the friction that you might see in different Lightning apps and experiences if they're not like just confined into one.
Gotcha. And so then, yeah, I guess that answers my question, like why they're all connected. And so that makes it easier and kind of shows like, that touch point of, or that, maybe the hassle of having money in multiple different places. But at the end of the day, you're traveling around the greater like MASH ecosystem and you have all the same balance. And then from there, you have onboarding and MASH, right? So tell us about the process for a creator to get onboarded, or if somebody wanted to go and like support, kind of what that looks like.
Sure. And actually, if you don't mind, can I just jump in? I'll explain the consumer onboarding really quickly.
Yes.
Um, so, which is part of the creator story, is we want it to make it as easy as possible for anyone, even if they're not a Bitcoiner, to be able to get access to funds to be able to support them. So it's not like, oh, only Lightning people can now support the creator, because then they'll be like, what percent can't actually support me? We want to make it 100% can. And so anyone, whether you have a Lightning wallet or not, so you can go to Mash, create an account like with email or, social login. We'll eventually have Lightning login. We don't have it just yet, and you can be launched very shortly. You can do it in a roundabout way, but it's not really clear. But you can basically just load your money, load your wallet with Lightning and like any amount above like a few cents, so we can deal with routing. And you're now off to the races. You now have an activated Mash wallet with money in the web. Or if you don't have Lightning, you buy a wallet from us, and then we give you the same Bitcoin back, which actually I think we might have covered earlier. So apologies for the repeat. Okay, jumping forward. If you want to earn, you're a creator, you're a builder with Mash, what do you have to do? Right now, you work with us and we help set you up. But very shortly, we're going to have a self-serve sign-up platform where you can create an account with Mash as an earner, decide what pricing and things you want to set up, get pre-built widgets and components. You can just copy and paste a little bit of code and put it exactly where you want on your site. So you want to like wrap a YouTube video with charge. So you have premium videos. You want to say this one costs 10 cents, this one costs $1. You're good to go. Or you want to have content that shows like half of it, then you have to pay to unlock it, or eventually it'll be auto unlock. Or you want to convert, like we're doing like serialized content templates where you can do like guides or books or different things that, we'll have an announcement on a launch shortly. Or you want to load in a donation button where you can slap to tip 50 times in a row and people are just tipping, and you can have that floating on your site. So they basically go there. Some docs, it's still technical, but you'll set it up. You'll be able to talk to us if you need direct help. We'll like show you how to copy and paste the little snippets of code in different platforms. And that's sort of it. You just decide your pricing and what you want to charge for or not, if you just want tips, donations, etc. And then tell us more stuff you want us to build, because that's how we're doing it.
That's awesome stuff. So I guess, yeah. So, I mean, it sounds like it's a pretty seamless process, and that you guys kind of have like a team to help onboard creators and everything else. And it also seems super easy from the consumer side as well, that, if they want to create a wallet or even, load their own Lightning wallet or whatever, they could do that fairly easily, which I think is, another kind of touch point where it's like, all right, well, I need to load sats onto this wallet or whatever, it's still kind of the transfer area, but I guess integrating that Lightning wallet and everything like that will make it even that much easier, which is awesome. And so, where do you see MASH going, and what is your mission and goals, for MASH going forward?
Sure. Our mission's audacious. So I've said it so much that sometimes I realize it's a really big goal. We want to remonetize the entire web. We want to enable an internet that is filled with more trusted, quality, accessible information that rewards creators and builders properly to do more, and let consumers save their time searching and finding this information and be able to discover these experiences. So we want to remonetize it and help rewire it to enable, a better experience for everyone. And so that's our mission. And I forget the second question.
Where do you see MASH going within, I guess, the next 2 years?
Oh, it's it's so tough to predict, and I don't want to say like, oh, we'll have this many users doing X, Y, and Z. If we can get thousands of creators earning their fair value and tons of users enjoying it, I think that's our anchoring points. Is creator builder, make 20, 50x, 100x, 1000x more than you are right now. Really solving their problems, letting them go full time, because if you look at the data, it's like 75% of people want to be a YouTuber or video creator right now, which is like a proc. It used to be 25% like 5 years ago. It's a proxy for creating and sharing knowledge and information. And so, most people after 4 years, they've given up or they're not making a high enough income. It becomes a side hobby. So if we can help all those people go full time and earn way more because they deserve it, that's our anchoring point. And so, yeah,
Awesome.
we're going to get there, and that's what we're going to do.
There we go. They're going to do it. And then, all right, to wrap it up. So what makes you most excited about the Bitcoin space going forward? Whether it's, I don't know, price action, somebody building something, adoption, what have you. What gets you most excited about Bitcoin?
So, what I think what excites me the most is there's a community of people that's growing very quickly, building experiences that are taking advantage of the power of what Lightning provides. Like, not just saying it's tech, but creating these new, like completely new experiences that most of us can't even dream of, right? Like, you need to take. It's the people, it's the number of people building, it's the community that's growing around it. It's, it's the best kept secret in tech right now, and people are starting to wake up, which is actually really exciting. The more companies building, there's a saying of what like competition is for losers. Was that Peter Thiel? And like maybe in some sense that is if you live in an aggregator vision of the world, but if you live in a vision of, great products can be embedded and used interoperably that provides lots of value to lots of constituents, the more Lightning products that are available, the more people understand it, the more people try it, and the more people that will use Fountain over here, Stacker News over here, and then Mash over here, and all of these other new things, the better it is. So great people, amazing products are being built, and I'm bullish right now. I think we're in a bull market for Lightning. That's like I said that a few weeks ago. I'm going to take that as my phrase. We're in a bull market for Lightning. Price doesn't matter.
Well, I agree with that 100%. And I see exactly like you're saying, a lot of people building on Bitcoin, building a lot of products, integrating Lightning so many different ways, even like yourself and Mash, what you guys got going on there. But, every time I turn around the internet, I feel like there's some viral video going around where it's like, hey, I'll give you $100 cash or a Bitcoin. And there's still a little bit of a knowledge gap. So although I still think like that everything's growing rapidly, I still think that we're early and that it's growing, at an exponential rate. People have at least heard of Bitcoin. I don't think everybody's heard of Lightning yet, but it's getting there. And I think, at the end of the day, that's the best time to start building it and doing everything like that. So I'm really excited for what you guys got going on at Mash. And yeah, maybe once I get like a website up and running or something like that, I'll get onboarded on there as well. So yeah, I'll have to talk to you about that more down the road, I guess. But Jared, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Why don't you tell everybody, where they can find you and find Mash and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. And happy to get you going with Mash. We might have some other stuff that can help you spin up sites and things like that. So I'm now going to a sales call. Brandon, let's talk after this. So you can learn more about Mash at getmash.com. That's mostly for creators and builders, but there's a link out to go check out our embedded Lightning wallet experience. You can follow, the company on Twitter at getmash, or myself at JaredNXX, so JaredNXX, and my name is like Lightning Monster IDX, sort of playing on that joke, but my avatar keeps on changing. And if you have any feedback or thoughts, we'd love to, hear it and hopefully have you try our product and yeah.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Everybody go check out Get Mash and follow them on all socials. Jared, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brandon.